Ukrainian aviation has struck the house and positions where Russian paratroopers were gathering near the village of Kamenskoye in Zaporizhzhia region. The strikes, carried out by an F-16 fighter jet using JDAM air-to-ground bombs of US manufacture known for their high precision, resulted in the explosion and destruction of the house, killing the invaders present there. Positions located in the forested area were also blown up, along with the invaders, rendering them inoperative.
Raytheon, the American defense giant, has secured a massive contract worth up to $3.5 billion to manufacture AIM-120 AMRAAM air-to-air missiles for both the US and international clients, including Ukraine. The contract, announced on July the 31st, marks a significant step in strengthening Ukraine's air defense capabilities amid ongoing defense challenges posed by the Russian invasion. The AIM-120 AMRAAM, or Advanced Medium-Range Air-to-Air Missile, is a critical missile for modern fighter jets, including the F-16s that are now being used extensively by Ukraine to counter Russian missile and drone attacks. The US Department of Defense reported on their website. Raytheon's contract includes missile deliveries to several countries, with Ukraine and the US set to receive significant portions. Other nations benefiting from this deal include Denmark, Belgium, Japan, the Netherlands, Canada, Finland, Germany, Hungary, Spain, Poland, Sweden, Taiwan, Lithuania, the United Kingdom, Australia, Switzerland, Israel, and Kuwait. The deliveries are expected to be completed by the third quarter of the US fiscal year 2031. The contract follows an earlier agreement in September of the previous year, which saw the US Department of Defense awarding Raytheon nearly $1.2 billion to supply AMRAAM missiles to Ukraine and other allied nations. These missiles are also integral to the NASAMS, or National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System, that Ukraine uses to defend its airspace. In addition to fighter jets, the AIM-120 is deployed as a primary missile for NASAMS systems, enhancing both the range and accuracy of Ukraine's air defense network. Raytheon recently doubled its production of AIM-120 missiles, increasing its annual output to 1,200 missiles across various modifications, thus accelerating the fulfillment of this contract. The U.S. Department of Defense states, the U.S. State Department also recently approved a sale of 400 AIM-120D3 AMRAAM missiles to Poland, further indicating the growing demand for these advanced defense systems. Previously, it was also reported that the European missile manufacturer MBDA has accelerated production of its Aster family of surface-to-air missiles, reaching a 5-fold increase in output for 2025 compared to earlier projections. Thus, Ukrainian F-16 aircraft will be able to destroy Russian targets more accurately. The number of such targets is also expected to increase significantly. The Ukrainian armed forces are currently trying to quickly form a group for another counteroffensive. This point of view was expressed by Russian military expert Vladislav Shurygin. According to him, soon, Alexander Syrsky may receive at his disposal up to 8 fully equipped and combat-ready brigades with a total of up to 20,000 people. In addition to this, according to Shurigin, the enemy is quickly forming UAV units, which are the main striking force of the Ukrainian army. Indirectly, preparation for a counterattack is confirmed by the strict economy in manning the regular combat brigades holding the front, where the manning of battalions on the line of combat resistance has fallen 35 to 40%. Reserves are primarily sent to the next counteroffensive grouping, Shurigin points out. He adds that the Ukrainian armed forces are in dire need of another victory to end the 2025 campaign. According to him, Syrsky needs a success similar to last year's adventure with the Kursk region, and the Ukrainian armed forces are ready for an offensive. The Observer also points to the connection between the upcoming counteroffensive and the sudden postponement of the Russian Federation's ultimatum, which US President Donald Trump shortened from 50 days to 10. Apparently, the commander of the US Army in Europe and Africa, General Christopher Donahue, who was in charge of planning and commanding the Ukrainian armed forces, reported to Trump about Kiev's readiness for an offensive and the undesirability of delaying it until the fall, when the weather could seriously interfere with the course of military operations. And Trump, in his usual manner, immediately changed his mind about giving Russia time to conclude a peace agreement with Ukraine. In fact, this offensive can rightfully be called Trump's offensive, the expert writes. In his opinion, if the offensive is at least partially successful, then, together with tough sanctions, this will become a significant lever of pressure on the Russian Federation. In this case, Moscow will face another prospect of prolonging the war in an unfavorable role for itself as the defending side. However, if the counteroffensive ends in the failure of the Ukrainian armed forces, Trump will be able to shift the responsibility to Donahue, who dragged himself into this adventure. In any case, August will be one of the hottest months of the 2025 campaign, and we will need to exert all our forces to counter American plans, and we definitely have a week to spare. Vladislav Shurigin sums up.